I don't think you can be healthy at any size, but I do think you can be loved and respected at any size. Let's talk about weight, trauma, and stress. Today, I want to explore fat storage. So we don't think of it that way. We think of I'm fat or I'm overweight, which those things can be true. But what we're really talking about is fat storage and your body's mode that it's in for survival and storing fat for a later time. Now, I opened this by saying I don't think you can be healthy at any size. There is a healthy at every size movement, which essentially breaks down into you can pursue health at any size. Your size shouldn't dictate your pursuit of health. I'm 100% behind that. However, these phrases and statements get distilled and confused down to I can be any size and still be healthy, and I don't agree with that. Each body has a certain threshold as to how much fat it can store before it starts having detrimental effects in the body. Whether those effects are on your insulin levels, your inflammation, your joints, your skeletal structure, or even the hormones that fat is putting out and causing other issues that happen inside the body, even things like your kidney health and liver health. All of this can be negatively impacted when there's too much fat being stored. So what I want to make sense of for you today is fat storage is an animal instinct. It's something these bodies are innately born knowing how to do for survival. And there's really nothing wrong with it. It's actually a healthy response to environment. Meaning, when you eat a lot of calories, your body says, I can't use all these. Even when a lot of glucose is created, I can't use all of this. So the body starts processing and turning this into fat that gets stored so that you can use it at a later time. That's a highly sophisticated system. The body's working very hard to do this. This is why people who are overweight are quite exhausted. It's not because they're lazy. It's because the body's actually working overtime to constantly store nutrients as fat. And then that fat builds up on the body and also makes you tired because you're literally carting it around on your skeletal frame. So it's exhausting to physically carry, and it's internally exhausting for the body to constantly be in this fat storage mode. Think of fat as concentrated energy. Think of fat storage as stored energy. When you have a lot of fat on your body, you have a ton of life force energy your body has not been able to tap into yet. And one of the reasons is because of insulin. When insulin dominates your bloodstream, your body is in storage mode. It's not in energy using mode, because insulin's job is to get glucose out of the blood and into the cells. And when you have fat cells and you have fat storage, your insulin rather starts taking the glucose and puts it into those fat cells. So your fat cells are growing bigger because of insulin putting glucose into them to store it for later. Now, what's so important about that is you can't come out of, let's say, insulin domination when you're eating certain foods. Certain foods, particularly refined carbohydrates, are going to increase your insulin response every time you eat them. And when you're snacking on them throughout the day, or they make up the bulk of your actual meals and foods, you are consistently having an insulin response because of the glucose spike they create. Now, the work that I've done for years has attracted people who are overweight and people who want to lose weight. Understandably, I know what it's like. I was once 50 pounds overweight, so I know that feeling. What's important about this is when you do a diet or you do trauma work or you do any kind of holistic therapy, just to lose weight, you miss a lot of important, let's say, unseen factors. One, insulin. You have to learn which foods create the insulin response so that your body isn't in fat storage mode or energy storage mode, but instead is in energy using mode. And these foods are largely whole foods. Whole complex carbohydrates as well, when they're paired with fats and protein, are completely fine and can even contribute to healthy fat loss while having good amounts of energy and satisfying your appetite. But in addition to insulin and diet, there's trauma and stress. A lot of us gain weight initially in response to a traumatic or stressful event or chronic stress, because stress itself is dominated by adrenaline. And when you make a lot of adrenaline because you're stressed or having PTSD, guess what else you create? Glucose spikes, because adrenaline frees up stored sugar in your liver. So you can actually have a glucose spike and then an insulin response just to your stress internally. So this means you can be stuck in this fat storage, energy storage, insulin dominant mode from the diet you're eating and from the stress response you're having due to life or past circumstances. So whenever I work with weight, I work with both of these factors: the somatic experience, what's happening emotionally inside the body, and getting the nervous system to downregulate more so there isn't so much adrenaline being created, as well as food education, learning how to eat so you won't create glucose spikes and then insulin spikes. Doing both of these at once addresses the emotional factors that get us into binge eating and compulsive eating and food addiction in the first place, and simultaneously gives us education to use food as a tool to nourish us, to delight us, even to feel pleasure and find pleasure in a way that doesn't dominate the body with so much insulin and glucose. So I strongly recommend, if you're interested in this, to visit my website and check out my recent webinar I did on weight and fat loss and even weight gain. There's so much good information there, and it's at a very affordable price right now. You can click on the link in the episode details to watch that. And then if you really want some support, join my 6-month nutrition group. I'll be teaching so many different people all around the world how to navigate food and how to relate to food in a way that's not so stressful, but has much more ease and much more lightness and much more fun. We're going to experiment with food while I teach you the biochemistry of how food affects your body, specifically your adrenaline, your nervous system, and your glucose levels. And then from there, I'll be leading you and teaching you in many different somatic practices how to hold your body's emotional response to changing your diet in the first place. And for any of you that have body shame, as I have had most of my life, learning how to relate to your body differently while you're doing this instead of waiting until you're at the right weight to love yourself. That's a very important part of my philosophy. You can find all the information for this group at holisticlifenavigation.com under events, or you can click on the link in the episode details. Thank you for watching today's episode. Please like and subscribe if you found it useful, and let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next. If you want to learn much more about nutrition, especially through the somatic lens and how you can use food to recover from stress and trauma, there's really no better time than now, because I am about to lead a 6-month nutrition group that begins on July 8th. This group meets every week for 6 months, and I will teach you everything from somatic practices to help you be with the emotions that come up around dieting and food, as well as the nutritional biochemical component of protein, carbohydrates, fats, and how to understand instinctive eating in a way that nourishes your body instead of just soothing your emotions. When you bring somatic practices with nutritional ones, you get to eat for nourishment and then learn other ways to hold your emotions and tend to yourself instead of using food that could be detrimental to your health and your balance of your body. For more information about this group, please click on the link below in the episode details, and you have until July 7th to register. I look forward to seeing you in there. I have developed a 4-week self-paced course that takes 18 years of my personal and professional experience and puts it into one place where you can easily and quickly learn the foundations of recovering from stress and trauma. How does the food you eat affect your stress levels? How do the relationships in your life create stress or peace? How does the relationship you have with your body allow you to feel happier and more settled? I will cover all this and so much more in this 4-week self-paced course. And the best part, it's self-paced. You don't have to sign up at a certain date or finish it at a certain time. It's yours for life, and it's waiting there for you when you're ready to finish it. Throughout this course, I'll be teaching you philosophies and practices that combine my 3 favorite modalities: somatic experiencing, embodied parts work, and nutrition. For more information on this course, click on the link in my episode details.